Hey folks, welcome into the News 12 Now desk. Thanks for joining us here on this Friday, June the 16th. We've made it through the week. We are at the very end of it here. A big weekend coming up with Father's Day. Hopefully everybody's getting to be able to do something to celebrate. Let's real quick pull up what we're looking at weather-wise. Wait, hang on one second. Okay, this is what we've got looking like for the 7-day forecast. See some pretty small storm chances over the next couple days until we get to Monday, which is Juneteenth. Then things start to pick back up a little bit. I'm not a meteorologist. This is what was left in the screen here that I was able to pull up. But if you want to get more information on the weather outlook for this week, for the Father's Day weekend, for your Juneteenth Monday, you can head over to our website, WRDW.com. We have the weather tab over there. That's great for you to check out. Or also just download our First Alert weather app. That's another good way to do it. Speaking of staying up to date and apps and whatnot, do you have the WRDW streaming app downloaded? If not, why not? It's a great resource for you. Also, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Right here on YouTube, WRDW News 12. There it is, right here. And look at that, we're live right now. So if you just get through these ads, that'll take you right to what we're doing. We stream here every day. We use pretty cool stuff. We do breaking news, top headlines, all sorts of things. We bring reporters up here to talk about stories. We run full interviews. We have a big interview coming up today at 11 o'clock with Vaughn Taylor to talk about his championship and also this merge between the PGA Tour and the Saudi Public Investment Fund. Talking about that with Vaughn Taylor today. But okay, let's get into our headlines here. Talking about some of the big stories across the South. The CSRA, the two-state, the country. We're going to cover everything, but of course we start here locally. It's been over a week now since a 13-year-old girl was hurt in a shooting at a Walmart in Aiken. Since then, tributes have been pouring in from the community and around the country for Ashton Reichard, from fundraisers to blood drives, get well cards, and last night was no different. The owner of Soulshine Yoga hosting Cards for Ashton, and as Sydney Hood tells us, the idea came from a mom just looking for a way to help.
Exactly, and while Aiken still struggles to make sense of what happened, they are continuing to respond with love, and sometimes love comes in the smallest of ways, like a simple handwritten get well card.
Dear Ashton, day by day, hope you're on the way to feeling better. Heard you went home tonight. So awesome. Sending you all the love and prayers for your recovery.
Complete strangers drawing color into darkness.
Maybe something in one of those cards or more than one of those cards speaks to them and kind of resonates in their heart a little bit.
Because sometimes a little note can mean the world.
What is the intention behind sending somebody a get well card? It's to let them know you're thinking of them and to lift their spirits up, and it really was just as simple as that.
Something as simple as picking up a pen can go a long way.
I think that people are just looking for a way to help and be supportive and trying to figure out what is a family going to need right now. They're going to need prayers.
Sealed in each envelope is a message.
You are supported by so many people whose lives have been touched by your bravery, wishing you much happiness, a full recovery, with blessings beyond your wildest dreams. Love and prayers from so many people.
A message of hope.
There's people you never even met praying for you. People all over the community are talking about you and what a brave, kind, beautiful girl you are. And don't let anybody put that light out.
Ashton is home from the hospital tonight. Her mom posted on Facebook, "We are headed home. Sweet Ashton will sleep in the comfort of her home tonight." She's asking people to keep the prayers coming, and the community support isn't going anywhere. On Saturday, Mercy Church is hosting a blood drive starting at noon. Also on Saturday at both Vicky's Boutique locations in Aiken, 25% of sales will go to Ashton and her family.
All right, thanks for that, Sydney. And you heard Sydney talk about it right there. Tomorrow, a couple things happening for Ashton, the blood drive, and then the Vicky's Boutique. So if you want to head on out to Aiken and support, those are a couple ways to do that. But again, she is home. Some great news. Was able to come back from the hospital yesterday. Meanwhile, as the cause grows, Ashton needed 14 units of blood. All of it came from the Shepherd Blood Center, and you now have the chance to give back. Here's Taylor Martin talking about that blood drive.
14 is how many units of blood Ashton Reichard received in just her first surgery. And with Saturday's blood drive, you can play a vital role in helping fill hospital shelves with blood to help someone like Ashton.
I got to watch her grow up, and she was always a little spunky, a little sassy.
Friends and family say Ashton's got some fight in her, and they're gathering their resources to help out with the blood drive.
The church reached out to us and wanted to know would we be willing to provide food for Saturday, and we said absolutely. So we're giving them hamburgers, cheeseburgers, sweet tea for Saturday to the donors that come.
Helping hands are spread out all over Aiken, even at the McDonald's on Whiskey Road.
We can sit here, giving out burgers and fries all day, taking people's money, do whatever. But, at the end of the day, what matters is, the market you make.
Giving back in honor of Ashton at a time when blood is needed most.
So every day this week, our local hospitals right here in the CSRA have asked us for blood units that we've just not been able to provide. There are folks like Ashton who are still in need and who may need blood in the future.
And you never know when or if it could happen to you. So her friends say, please give.
Please, because you don't know when your family member is going to need, blood.
If you'd like to donate blood, the blood drive will be on Saturday at Mercy Church from noon to 6 p.m. And we'll have information about it on our website, WRDW.com. Reporting in Aiken, Taylor Martin, on your side.
Okay, thanks for that, Taylor. And on Facebook, Ashton's mother says she's scheduled for surgery next Thursday to repair 3 fractured bones in her wrist. And don't forget, as she mentioned, that blood drive is at Mercy Drive in Aiken tomorrow. As a Richmond County deputy is facing some serious charges accused in connection with misconduct at the detention center. The sheriff's office got a tip about possible misconduct by Deputy Jailer Joseph Clark involving a female employee with the Public Defender's Office. The allegation involves sexual misconduct in an interview room. Clark is now charged with criminal attempt, aggravated sodomy, false imprisonment, sexual battery, and violation of oath by a public officer. He was fired from his job at the Webster Detention Center yesterday. An Augusta man behind bars accused of molesting a teenage girl while her dad was away. Daryl Haig is charged with child molestation and rape. Last month, the Richmond County Sheriff's Office responded to AU Health about a past sexual assault. When deputies got there, they met with the victim's father, who said his neighbor came over to his home, climbed into bed, and sexually assaulted the victim while he was out of town. And the Richmond County Sheriff's Office says a man is facing charges after a victim was shot in the arm while carjackers tried to steal his car. Jafir Elliott is in the Webster Detention Center, charged with possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime, aggravated assault, and carjacking. One person is in the hospital after an accident involving a mowing tractor and a plumbing truck. The Aiken Department of Public Safety says it happened Thursday afternoon near the Aiken County Government Center on University Parkway. Officers say the plumbing truck hit the back of the tractor, causing it to flip over and pin the driver underneath. They say the driver was conscious when he was taken to the hospital. From Payne College to the Masonic Lodge, historic monuments and placards are disappearing or damaged. Most of the damage starts on Broad Street and grows by the time you get to Green Street. Our Hallie Turner talked to people who live in the area about their frustrations.
Take a look at this. It's the Spanish-American War Monument right here on Green Street. And nearly 2 weeks ago, this bronze emblem could be seen shining bright in the summer sun. And now it's just one tug away from facing the same damages as 2 other monuments in Augusta.
A peaceful walk ends with an unfortunate wake-up call.
When I was walking down here the other day, there was a dirty towel covering it up, and I stopped and I looked at it and I realized that someone had tried to use a dirty towel to pry off this bronze monument to people who died for this country over 100 years ago.
Less than 400 feet away, pieces of cement are all that remains of a bronze Bible that was once on the Masonic Lodge monument.
Why in the world would anyone defame a Masonic memorial? It's kind of like grave robbing. It's horrible.
Leaving a hefty price tag.
There's at least $2,000 worth of damage that has been done to this monument.
Impacting more than just those who put them there.
It affects all of us. It affects the property values. It affects our safety. It affects our security down here. And it just creates the image that nobody cares.
They're calling on the city.
Really wish we would hear from our officials just to say, well, this has got to stop.
Now the Masonic Lodge has to cut back on scholarships.
We're getting ready to give out 14 $1,000 scholarships.
But now that this emblem's been stolen,
it's going to cost us a couple of scholarships.
At the end of the day, Fishman says,
This needs to be a walkway and a corridor for people all over the Southeast to look and visit Augusta and see what has happened in the history of Augusta through the ages.
In Augusta, Hallie Turner, On Your Side.
The city says while they're sad to see this type of treatment to the monuments, they don't own them, so the organization that put them there is responsible for making those repairs. It's been 16 months since the last city administrator left, but there is no progress to report. The debate continues over the administrator's role and the pay. Right now, the interim city administrator, Takia Dowse, holds that position. Commissioners have been back and forth over experience requirements. They say they're looking for someone with 3 to 5 years experience as an administrator compared to the 6 years they discussed back in May.
There's still one determination that we need to make as a body. There was some discussion around relevant work experience and clearly defining that role as it relates to that.
Commissioner Alvin Mason wants the search to move forward as quickly as possible, but he says they need to put someone in the role with the proper skill set.
The longer we wait, the further we get behind in terms of having that skill set, having the networking capability, knowing where to reach out, knowing different courses of action to take in certain situations. That's an experience level.
Mayor Johnson says the commission will continue the discussion during next week's commission meeting. The city's also considering using a firm to expand the search to a national level. The Imperial Theater is going through some big renovation, $1.5 million for new paint and plaster to reupholster their mezzanine seats. Along with SPLOST funds, the community has played a big part in the transformation to restore this historic theater. Nick Veland stopped by to check out the progress.
Rows of scaffolding line the alley next to the Imperial Theater as improvements on the inside ramp up. Years back, the Imperial Theater took on a series of projects, but the lack of getting scaffolding prevented them from reaching heights they weren't able to touch.
We have the time and funds, thank heavens.
The theater says that they had 6 to 8 weeks of no shows, which they were able to take advantage of to start the first phase of a larger 5-phase project.
It's good. It's good. It's always good to be moving forward and taking action, and we'll be involved in a capital campaign probably near the end of this year to raise the funds to do the additional work. But for now, I'm happy to be able to get this work done.
Over the next 6 weeks, ceilings, walls, and the frame around the stage will be scraped and repainted.
We're very thankful, the board and staff and volunteers of the Imperial Theater are very thankful for the community support that we've received over the many years that the theater's been here.
And the theater's longer-term projects include adding an elevator, improvements to the dressing room, concessions, and the front entrance. And fundraising for this will start after this project is complete in 6 weeks. In Augusta, Nick Veland, On Your Side.
All right, thanks for that, Nick. And their next show is in August, and during the downtime, they plan to continue their reupholstery project in the first and second balcony seats. Well, take a look here. Have you seen these missing kids? The Richmond County Sheriff's Office needs your help finding these two. 11-year-old Isaiah Jones and 12-year-old Marion Sales were last seen Friday leaving East Boundary. They were walking. Marion was last seen wearing army fatigue pants, and Isaiah was seen in a blue bathing suit. If you know anything about these two, you are asked to call the Richmond County Sheriff's Office. North Augusta's newest school, Highland Springs Middle, may not be ready to open on time. Aiken County school leaders say they've had issues with weather, delaying construction, and backordered supplies also adding to that. They're also facing a short summer because their new school year is just 6 weeks away. Remember, they're going to the year-round school calendar. They're pushing to have the school ready by July 25th, but if it's not ready, Highland Springs students will start next year in 3 spots: North Augusta Middle, Paul Knox Middle, and Aiken Tech. A teen from the CSRA is in Mobile, Alabama, competing in the Distinguished Young Women's National Program. Juliana Guest is one of 50 representatives competing for tens of thousands of dollars in scholarships and to represent the program as the Distinguished Young Woman of America for 2023. Guest is a graduate from Fox Creek Academy in North Augusta, so the finals are on the 24th. Good luck to you, Juliana. We are trying to get Juliana here on the News 12 Now desk one of these days if we can get her while she's down there in Mobile, but she is hard at work, so we don't want to interrupt too much. The Children's Hospital of Georgia getting a $5,000 donation thanks to Dunkin' Donuts and everybody who bought an iced coffee there during the chain's Iced Coffee Day last month. Each iced coffee bought in Augusta and Savannah on May 23rd went towards yesterday's check presented to the hospital. A Dunkin' mascot was there, as well as some goodies like coffee and gift cards for those who work at the hospital. Nationally, Dunkin' Donuts raised more than $1.6 million this year as part of the fundraiser, all of which goes to children's hospitals across the country. To some state news now. We'll start in Georgia. Medical cannabis in the state is still a developing topic as the rollout continues. Now, the Georgia Board of Pharmacy is approving the rule to let independent pharmacies sell it. Our State House reporter Abby Kasoris explains what this means.
You could soon buy that medicine at an independent pharmacy like this one. Now, you would need to have your medical cannabis card in order to qualify. You would scan it here, talk with the pharmacist, and choose between products.
This is not a recreational program. This is not an adult use program. Georgia is a medical program that provides low THC oil.
Stanley Atkins is a veteran and a cannabis advocate. He says cannabis changed his life. He was sick and losing too much weight. Doctors told him he only had months left to live.
It has truly improved my quality of life. I've actually been able to gain weight, living a much happier lifestyle.
Living in Griffin, he has to travel at least an hour to get to one of the 2 dispensaries in the state, one in Macon and one in Marietta, something he says is hard for patients with chronic pain.
We can hopefully have pharmacies in their neighborhoods.
The Georgia Department of Public Health's low THC oil patient registry is growing from 13,000 patients in 2015 to now over 27,000 patients. The list of diseases that qualify patients for cannabis oil include cancer, seizures, AIDS, post-traumatic stress disorder, multiple sclerosis, autism, and Alzheimer's disease. The state's Medical Cannabis Commission approved of licenses for 2 companies, TrueLeaf and Botanical Sciences. They're adding additional stores in Noonan, Columbus, Pooler, and Augusta. There are more than 700 independent pharmacies in the state. Pharmacist Ira Katz says he'll be carrying the products once the board's decision is approved.
Medical cannabis card will be able to dispense whether it be tincture, gummies, oil, the tincture oils, soft gels, whatever the patient's in need, and then we'll be able to dispense this.
These records, like prescription records, will need to be monitored on a daily basis.
Medical cannabis needs to be in the hands of independent pharmacies so that we can do a good job monitoring and consulting with our patients.
All eyes are on Governor Brian Kemp. He has 90 days to sign off on the Georgia Board of Pharmacy's plans. We did reach out to his office to see if he has any plans to support this measure. We have not heard back. In Atlanta, I'm Abby Kasoris.
Thanks for that, Abby. I believe they had heard back. Actually, no, I think that was a different story. Take it back. All right, moving on. A judge in Forsyth County has denied bond for the woman accused of dumping her newborn in the woods back in 2019, calling her a flight risk. Rebecca Stram was in the courtroom.
We learned some new information from the state, including why the defendant is not to have any contact with her husband or their 3 children. 40-year-old Karima Jawani hardly looked around as she entered the courtroom and sat at the defense table, her attorney with a request.
We are asking for bond today. Ms. Jawani has 0 criminal history, Your Honor.
Jawani is accused of placing her newborn baby in a plastic bag and leaving her to die in some woods on the side of a road south of Cumming. A family living nearby happened to hear the baby's cries, leading to her rescue. Hospital staffers named her Baby India. At the hearing, Forsyth County District Attorney Penny Penn revealed that after a 4-year search for the parents, a DNA search led them to Jawani's husband, who said he had no idea about that pregnancy. He has now filed for divorce and has filed a restraining order against her.
It was in an interview with the sheriff's office that she admitted that she had concealed the pregnancy from everyone. that she did not seek prenatal care.
Understanding that the charges against her are serious.
Jawani's attorney, Katie Hingerty, told the judge she suffered from postpartum psychosis, which she said can sometimes lead women to feel detached from their bodies and unable to understand right from wrong. She asked the judge to allow Jawani to live with her sister and mother in San Antonio, Texas, while she awaits trial so they can seek proper treatment and prepare for her defense.
How incredibly sad that must have been, but how we can prepare for that when she's being held in custody. We can't have her see the requisite doctors. We can't put her in the therapy that she's going to need.
The judge ruled Jawani is a flight risk.
And therefore the court is not going to grant a bond at this time.
The DA says the baby the defendant abandoned is happy and healthy. She recently celebrated her 4th birthday. Incoming, Rebecca Schramm, Atlanta News First.
Lawmakers are working to crack down on sex trafficking through rideshare apps, and Senator John Ossoff is part of a bipartisan movement calling on rideshares to address safety. Uber recently made changes to its age requirement, which allows minors between the ages of 13 and 17 to request a ride without an adult.
That's really scary, first of all, to even allow that, because that does just open the door for more and more trafficking to take place. This ability to be able to get in an Uber at such a young age without a grown adult just allows for the trafficker to sell them over and over and over again.
Lawmakers are demanding a response by the end of the month from Uber and Lyft on how they plan to protect both children and adults. House Democrats in Georgia are trying a new way to force votes on gun control measures like background checks and bans on assault-style rifles. It's called a discharge petition. Democrats are trying to collect the signatures of all 212 of their House lawmakers and 6 Republican members to reach a majority. That would force votes on gun control legislation without having it stop in committee.
You're 25 times more likely to die in the United States than anywhere else by guns. And people have decided enough is enough, and they're fed up.
Discharge petition signatures are not anonymous, and we don't know if House Republicans will sign their name to it. Prosecutors in Savannah are trying to get journals written by Leilani Simon. She's the mother accused of killing her son. Her lawyers are fighting to block them from getting those journals. Simon is charged with murder after investigators say she killed her son Quentin and left his body in a dumpster. Her lawyers argue the prosecutor's request to get the journals violates her right to privacy and is the same thing as unlawful search and seizure. Her next hearing is set for next month. The severe weather sweeping across the southeast yesterday and the day before left trees and power lines down and some homes torn to shreds. Meanwhile, farmers are working to keep their crops protected and their profits up. Dow Kennedy explains.
You could see cotton coming up out of the ground at Bullock and all over southeast Georgia. Talk to folks in agriculture, and they say they've seen consistent, steady rains throughout so far the planting season. But what they need right here in the middle of June might be the last thing you expect to hear. Growers in Bullock have more than 40,000 acres of cotton planted, as well as at least 20,000 acres of peanuts and a few thousand acres of corn. Bill Tyson from the University of Georgia Extension Service says they're seeing adequate rain so far to sustain plants and let growers turn off their irrigation systems for now. Right now, they need the temperatures to climb.
It's bad to say this in June, but we need warm weather. Okay. The cool nights in May and even into June, that's kind of got the crop set back a little bit.
He says the sunshine and warmth will help plants begin to grow at a faster rate, and that growth will make the rainfall even more critical.
And you know, we've had this conversation before. We're never 2 weeks away from a drought.
He says it's too soon to predict whether crops will be good this year, but they can't have a good end to the season without a good beginning. He says cotton, peanuts, corn, and soybeans all have months and months to go, and this is a marathon, not a sprint, and they need that rain and the sunshine to get them through. In Bullock County, Dow Kennedy, WTOC News.
2 people were able to escape unharmed from a house that was destroyed by the storms that hit the southeast. This all happening in Albany, Georgia. Some might consider the family involved unlucky. Somehow, everyone is just fine.
Get those alerts. Please get somewhere that you know is the safest room in the house. Don't take those alerts lightly. Take them serious. don't think, oh, they always send these alerts out and it ain't nothing serious. Well, it was. And go over an emergency plan with your family, which I'm glad we have done with my daughter numerous times.
Aside from a knot on the head and a broken heart, everyone is okay.
We lost all of our belongings, our clothes, shoes. I mean, everything is scattered all across the fields, everywhere. We have absolutely nothing except for my husband's truck because he wasn't there at the time.
The family says there is one thing they really need right now.
Prayers. We definitely need prayers. Yeah, anything for an 11-year-old girl. She is completely devastated that she lost everything of hers because we were in her room, and the rest of the house is completely destroyed too. We don't have any clothes. Like, I was still in my pajamas when this happened, so that's all I have on right now.
And as in most homes, there are memories and stories now trapped in the rubble.
All of our family members that had passed away, like my grandma's stuff that was so dear to me, is completely gone. My father's dad's stuff is completely gone. Our wedding stuff, our stuff that we've built over our 20-year marriage is completely gone.
But as they say,
but we're still here. That's what matters.
Can't even imagine the hardships that they're going through right now, and with only the clothes on their backs, the surrounding community is coming together to support that family and bring them everything they may need as they rebuild. So good to see people helping them out there. Well, it's a story you may have to see to believe. A vulture making its way into a home in Roswell, Georgia. Amanda Rose met with the couple who caught the chaos on camera.
This is the doggy door the couple says the vulture walked in through to enter their home. They say they've had a few small birds pass through, but nothing like this. This Roswell couple got quite the surprise Saturday afternoon.
Holy, a vulture in the house.
A what?
A vulture.
When a 3-foot-tall vulture made itself right at home on their couch.
I initially thought there was an intruder. So I took off running, couldn't understand why he wasn't following me if there was an intruder in the house.
That's when the adrenaline kicked in and an umbrella became their impromptu protection.
I just popped it open. It put space between me and the vulture, and I just kept doing this to make it think that I was some kind of a predator, I guess. I don't know.
The two opened every door possible to try and encourage the vulture to fly outside, but it wasn't quite ready to abandon its new digs.
It was flying all over the place. It ended up flying upstairs, right in the entrance, and grabbed onto the handrail, slid all the way down. It was just something out of a movie. It was really, really crazy.
Eventually, the bird got the message. Now these two are left with one crazy tale to tell and a word of caution.
A public service announcement: close your doggy doors. Do not leave it unattended, or just get rid of them.
Get yourself an umbrella.
Get yourself an umbrella.
Umbrella is the greatest home defense system you could have, right? The couple says they're thankful their 2 kids were not home to witness all that commotion. The vulture thankfully didn't hurt their English bulldog, though they say they are going to be getting rid of that doggy door. Well, let's keep it on the animal theme here. This one not as appetizing. You might see the occasional bug in your home once the temperature goes up, but it's a bigger problem for this woman in DeKalb County. Bunches of millipedes stuck to a trap in her home there. Lee Williams from the Stone Mountain Apartments noticed more of them showing up 2 months ago. She says she's tried everything from duct tape to a foam seal, but nothing is working.
One day I was in here and it was like a free-for-all. I'm like stomping them, I'm cooking, I'm stomping them, I'm washing dishes, I'm stomping them.
Her landlord offered 3 solutions: either hire an exterminator, another exterminator, bring her to a new space, or vacate. Pest control experts say millipedes are mostly harmless, and the best way you can keep them out of your home is to use caulk near damp areas. Some good news now, where the Miss Georgia competition is underway in Columbus. It just started 2 nights ago. For a couple more days, 56 young women are competing to be crowned the 78th annual Miss Georgia, along with 36 teens who want to become this year's Miss Georgia teen. Business leaders in Columbus say it's a big boost for hotels and restaurants in the area, and whoever wins will get to move on to represent the state in Miss America and Miss America Teen. Let's head across the river to South Carolina now. State leaders announced what they're taking a bold, aggressive new approach to treating South Carolinians' growing mental health needs. They say this project will serve as a model for communities throughout the state. Our State House reporter Mary Green was in Florence, where the pilot for this initiative will be.
In the coming months, the building behind me here in downtown Florence will be torn down to make way for a regional behavioral health hub that'll be the first of its kind in South Carolina.
This is the future of what's coming to South Carolina. This is the model of care that we're going to set up regionally throughout the state, and we're going to have a vibrant and successful behavioral health system.
The project announced Thursday is a unique public-private partnership between the South Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, Department of Mental Health, MUSC, McLeod Health, Francis Marion University, and Hope Health. The facility will offer a combination of triage, crisis stabilization, telehealth, outpatient, and inpatient services, a new model in South Carolina. Construction is slated to begin in 2024, with the facility opening 2 years after that to serve the PD. State leaders say they'll be looking at what works here to use this as a model for future behavioral health hubs in other regions of South Carolina.
We'd like to get some of those models learning from quick wins, quick learning that we're going to experience as we bring this facility up. I'm hoping in the next couple of years we start getting some replication in other areas.
Up to $100 million in state funding has been set aside for this facility, along with another $5 million from the city of Florence. Reporting in Florence, I'm Mary Green.
Thanks, Mary. And that facility is going to be named in honor of the late Florence County Senator Hugh Leatherman. He chaired the Senate's powerful budget writing committee and advocated for this facility's creation at the State House. Well, the nearly $14 billion South Carolina budget is almost finished after passing both the House and the Senate. Now, the next step is for the budget to go before Governor McMaster, who is expected to veto individual items in the budget before signing it into law. And yesterday, at that announcement, McMaster said he and his team are at work going through that budget.
We're going through it with a fine-tooth comb. There will, I believe, be some vetoes, but we work very closely with the House and the Senate, as well as the agencies, as well as public groups and people, businesses, to see how to best spend the money we have.
Once he approves that budget, it will go into effect July 1st. The woman charged in the death of a newlywed bride on Folly Beach will make her first court appearance today. Jamie Komorowski is charged with 3 counts of felony DUI and reckless homicide after a deadly crash in April. Police say Komorowski rear-ended a golf cart, killing 1 person and injuring 3 others. At the time of the crash, Komorowski's blood alcohol level was .261, which is more than 3 times the legal limit. While former President Donald Trump and the legal trouble he faces are taking a lot of the oxygen away from the 2024 campaign, the Republican field for the nomination continues to grow. Natalie Brand has more details from Washington, D.C.
Are you ready?
Former President Trump's campaign says it has raised more than $7 million in the face of a historic indictment. That includes more than $2 million brought in from a Bedminster, New Jersey fundraiser the day he was arraigned.
This is called election interference and yet another attempt to rig and steal a presidential election. But they will fail and we will win bigger and better than ever before.
Trump's legal battles continue to dominate the race for the Republican presidential nomination.
If my candidacy is going to be about responding to things that former President Trump did, then there's not going to be much of a candidacy. By the way, not for me and not for any other Republican nominees.
Miami Mayor Francis Suarez dodged interview questions about Trump after officially launching his White House bid.
I'm going to run for president.
With a video on Twitter Thursday morning.
Out on the campaign trail, the Republican hopefuls are facing new questions about whether they'd pardon Trump if elected president.
Former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley pledged to pardon Trump, saying it would be bad for the country to see him in jail. Trump's former vice president wouldn't say one way or the other.
There are serious charges in this indictment. Now, the president's entitled to make his defense. I look forward to hearing what defense he might have, but I can't defend what is alleged.
While most GOP candidates are treading lightly, Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie have been the most vocal critics. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Suarez's Twitter announcement included a call for people to donate at least $1 to his campaign in order to help him become eligible for the GOP primary debates beginning in August. Also, following Trump's arraignment, we did have an interview here with Dr. Mary Kate Lazat from Augusta University. She's a political science professor there. That was here on News 12 Now. If you want to check that out up on our YouTube channel, just head to the live tab and you'll be able to find it there. President Biden says he's making good on his pledge to eliminate hidden fees that could cost consumers millions of dollars a year. Executives from major ticketing and event companies joined him for the announcement. Skylar Henry has that story.
A tentative agreement. President Biden says it's time to crack down on those hidden fees that sneak into consumer bills and met with some of the executives promising to join that effort.
Junk fees are not a matter for the wealthy very much, but they're a matter for working folks like the homes I grew up in. And they can add hundreds of dollars a month and make it harder for families to pay their bills. I think it's just wrong. The meeting at the White House comes 4 months after the president promised action against so-called junk fees during his State of the Union address.
I know how unfair it feels when a company overcharges you and gets away with it. Not anymore.
He was joined on Thursday by executives from private sector companies that offer all-in pricing or have agreed to in the coming months. Companies including Live Nation and its Ticketmaster platform, as well as SeatGeek, Airbnb, and some event venues that have committed to eliminating hidden fees.
Live Nation came under fire earlier this year for the botched handling of Taylor Swift concert tickets and for including surprise fees.
It's now committing to upfront pricing at its venues and through Ticketmaster, making the total cost visible from the start.
This is a win for consumers, in my view, and proof that our crackdown on junk fees has real momentum.
Live Nation hosts more than 30 million fans at hundreds of U.S. venues and festivals every year. With inflation continuing to plague American families, the White House says ending the unwelcome surprise of hidden fees is a step toward helping consumers manage their money. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
President Biden has also called for legislation and regulation to end the practice of undisclosed fees. A significant cyber attacks taking place not just in Augusta, but across the nation and around the world. Federal agencies, state governments, and major universities have been hit with a campaign of data theft and ransomware. Johns Hopkins University and its health systems say the data breach may have impacted sensitive personal and financial information, including contact information and billing records. There's no confirmation about what group or country is behind the intrusions, but U.S. intelligence believes a criminal organization operating inside Russia is responsible.
Tonight, senior government officials are racing to limit the impact of what one cyber expert is calling potentially the largest theft and extortion event in recent history. American targets include multiple federal agencies, including the Department of Energy, plus Johns Hopkins affiliated hospitals in Maryland and Florida, Georgia's statewide university system, and the Minnesota Department of Education. British Airways was also hit. The hackers are part of the cyber criminal gang called CLOP, believed to operate from inside Russia.
They've started releasing some of the data that was stolen as part of their work to extort these companies. We strongly encourage anyone who is a user of this software to, of course, patch, lock down their systems.
The cyber criminals are exploiting a software program called MoveIt, which companies and government agencies use to transfer data, including personal information. The group steals the data, and in this message, believed to be from the hackers, warns that if a ransom is not paid, after 7 days, all your data will start to be published, sometimes on the dark web. Cyber expert Brett Callow says foreign adversaries and criminals will be looking to leverage the data.
Overseas governments will no doubt be very interested in obtaining the information that CLOP obtained through these attacks.
Last week, the FBI and the government cybersecurity agency warned companies to be on alert for this kind of attack. Former intelligence officials say the threat has been circulating for 2 weeks and accuse the government of being slow to act. We have an update from Iowa City where that apartment building partially collapsed. The Davenport City Council has approved a financial relief package for residents and businesses impacted by the debris. As Hernan Gutierrez tells us, those neighbors made leaders hear their concerns.
You ran for this position. You wanted to be here. You chose to be where you're at right now.
The Davenport City Council approved using $600,000 in COVID relief funds for an aid package for those impacted by the partial collapse of the downtown apartment building. With Alderwoman Maria Dickman absent and Alderman J.J. Condon choosing to abstain, it passed in an 8-0 vote.
Living in the qualifying area, I didn't apply for nor will I receive any assistance, but fully support it.
Meanwhile, during public comment,
the time to act is gone.
Residents demanding to see more action from the city.
It's sad. It's terrifying that you could go to the store and get groceries and come back to no home.
This as attorneys for Peach Berry, a woman who lost a leg in the collapse, filed to have the demolition paused so they could gather more of their own evidence Tuesday night. Wednesday morning, a judge denied that motion, saying the defendants were not properly notified of the filings. The city's chief strategy officer, Sarah Ott, declined to comment on the request. She reiterated that demolition will take several weeks. Others Wednesday night expressed frustration with how city officials handled warning signs that the building would collapse and are now facing the consequences with multiple lawsuits.
The city is going to be on the hook for tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. And the city is acting like everything's normal. Now, I got to tell you, I've done some stupid things in my life, but I've never bankrupted a city.
Crews have already started demolishing the remains earlier this week as the owner pled guilty to an infraction on Monday. Cleanup will be a challenge because officials believe there's asbestos and potentially hazardous material inside. Demolition at the I-95 crash site in Pennsylvania wrapping up yesterday. Crews will move on to rebuilding the overpass that collapsed last weekend. A company is helping out by using recycled materials for that new infrastructure. They'll bring in glass bottles as an example to turn them into pellets or nuggets.
Mill that mixed color glass into a very, very fine powder, almost like a talcum powder. And then we put it through a heating process that actually foams it into a cake. And when it comes out of the heating process, it's a solid cake of foam glass.
It can look like a rock, but it's not that heavy to hold. The material will be used to fill the hole on I-95 and then paved over to create a temporary road while they build a permanent bridge above it. The CDC says they're seeing more cases of strep throat from across the U.S. from regular symptoms to an invasive version they consider deadly. So far, they're seeing adults as old as 65 years old catch it, and in some kids just after the season ended in April. Some doctors are concerned it can turn into shock syndrome, which can lead to organ failures. One doctor says as much as it's contagious, it is treatable.
The good news is it's not a new strain. It is the same strain that we've seen in the past. We have good antibiotics to take care of it. It's easily treatable as long as it's identified.
Doctors say to watch out for sore throats, fevers, chills, and muscle aches. If it's severe, the CDC says get to some medical care quickly. For the first time in its history, UPS could add air conditioning to their well-known brown delivery trucks. It's a major sticking point for the union in their latest negotiations with the company. Ashley Paredes explains what it could mean for workers.
You're in an oven. You're in a straight up oven. There's no air conditioning whatsoever.
Valley UPS driver Colin Morgan speaking out for the very first time.
Fill this thing up.
Since this Ring doorbell video made national headlines last summer, capturing him collapsing on the job.
I was in the truck too long, and I just already had packages all over the place, and was in there for about 20 minutes or so until I finally walked towards that door, and then the cool air just hit me, and I went, ugh.
The incident sparking discussion about the conditions UPS drivers face in extreme heat. Now, nearly a year later, UPS telling us they have reached a tentative agreement with the workers' union Teamsters to equip all newly purchased small package delivery vehicles with air conditioning beginning in 2024.
When it's 117, the back of those trucks are 150 to 170 degrees. So getting the back of those trucks cooler, if that means they're talking about putting heat shields, I don't know if that's underneath the truck to keep the heat from coming through the floorboards, or more ventilation in the back, but that's the main issue.
ABC 15 speaking with Nate Jonovich last summer, along with others anonymously, in fear of retaliation at the time, investigating cases of hospitalizations due to heat exhaustion.
My wife is concerned every summertime, if I'm going to make it through the summer, she's worried about if you ever feel sick, just call 911. We can't afford to lose you.
UPS is also planning to add a forced air induction system to all new package cars and existing ones, bringing fresh air from the front to the cargo area within 18 months of a signed contract.
This year you're feeling a lot better.
Oh yeah, feeling way better. Wait until the 115 hits and we get back there, then we can talk again.
The current contract between UPS and the workers union expires at the end of July. A new one still needs to be finalized.
I didn't even realize they didn't have AC in those trucks, but I guess you always see them kind of riding with the doors open, so that makes sense. Okay, now to Mexico, where authorities have confirmed the death of 2 Americans who appeared to die in their hotel room. The California couple vacationing in Mexico's Baja region were found unresponsive in their room. The suspected cause of death is gas poisoning. Here's Miguel Amaguirre.
The bodies were discovered at this exclusive upscale resort in Cabo San Lucas. Abby Lutz and her boyfriend, who lived in California, found unresponsive in their room by hotel staff. Mexican police in the seaside community suspect the cause of death is inhalation of gas.
She got really sick and they thought it was food poisoning.
Lutz's family says the couple started feeling ill after they arrived at Rancho Pescadero and headed to the hospital.
They spent the night and with IVs, getting IVs and things, and then they felt better. When they went to bed, I guess they didn't wake up.
On GoFundMe, the family writes, "We have been told it was due to improper venting of the resort and could be carbon monoxide poisoning."
I think that's the hardest part, is going to a resort that you think you're going to be taken care of at, and it was just so senseless.
At Rancho Pescadero, where the rooms can cost up to $1,000 a night, the hotel owned by Hyatt says, out of an abundance of caution and respect for the families and all of those affected, we are refraining from speculation about the cause. The deaths, the latest in a string of similar accidents in Mexico.
Last October, after renting an upscale apartment, 3 Americans appeared to have died from carbon monoxide poisoning in Mexico City. In 2018, a couple and their 2 children also lost their lives in Tulum.
We love her family, all friends. We'll miss her so much.
Tonight, the hallmarks of another preventable tragedy for a young couple on vacation. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News.
Just a sad story there, and thoughts are with that family, but let's move on to a little bit lighter news here. Can you imagine your dog fending off a black bear? Well, that's what a dog did to protect his front yard in Minnesota, and thankfully, it was all caught on camera. Jason Rantala has the story.
I was in the backyard watering the grass and plants. That's when I saw the black bear, and Max was like 5 feet away from it, and I was so scared.
It's not every day in the Twin Cities that you come across this.
And I saw the bear was like behind the tree, trying to climb the tree.
Jashia Sabel's dog Max fending off a 3-foot-tall bear.
Oh my gosh, my heart just like sunk. I was like, Max is gonna get hurt. I don't know what to do. How am I gonna, like, I don't know, should I call cops or call my husband? I was just so scared.
Eventually, Max scared off the bear that scurried off into the woods.
My first time ever seeing a cub or a bear. Yeah. He's such a good boy. Yeah.
Jashia and her husband have had the Border Collie mix for 4 years.
I love Max so much. We had him since he was a puppy. So if anything happened to him, I don't know what I would do without him.
He's been known to alert the couple for things like deliveries.
He's definitely a guard dog, definitely, yeah.
But never this. Jashia says she'll let Max play guard dog more often when she goes outside.
I don't think he wants to play right now.
Just in case there's another interaction with any other wildlife.
I was just glad that Max was there with me to alert me when I was outside with him.
How about that fearless dog right there, Max? Thankfully, it was a little bear. If it was a big bear, it might have been a different story, but it wasn't. We don't have a lot of bears in our area, but if you see one, experts say don't run away from it. Instead, slowly back away, try to appear non-threatening, or scare the bear off with shouts and noises. Mercedes-Benz is partnering up with Microsoft to add ChatGPT to its cars. That'll extend the capabilities of the vehicles, which can already respond to the simple commands from drivers saying, "Hey Mercedes." Right now, the car's responses are limited to simple commands like adjust the temperature or find a navigation destination. With the addition of the AI system, they will be able to respond to a much wider range. It'll also be able to carry on more natural conversations. I don't know how you feel about that one, folks. There's AI going in the Mercedes cars now. It seems to be a pretty big thing happening. Okay. Time's running out to find Dad a Father's Day gift he'll remember. The gift cards are easy, but maybe let somebody else give him one of those and you get him something else. Good thing our consumer tech reporter Jamie Tucker has all the stuff you need to know. He's rounded up some favorite tech gifts for dads you may not have thought about.
I wear these sunglasses at night. These are the Dusk Smart sunglasses with built-in microphones and speakers to make and take phone calls and listen to music. But here's what's really cool about them. You can change the tint. Make them dark in the sun, but at night, lighten the tint with just a tap of a button or through an app. They're polarized, so at dusk or even later, they block the glare of bright LED lights from passing cars, but still let you see enough to drive safely. Speaking of light, Dad can never have enough flashlights, and if he's still using one that requires big batteries, he would love an upgrade to a rechargeable torch. The Infinity X1 comes in 2 sizes. Both are brighter than the flashlight he probably has and can be focused on a small area or a wide field of view. These also have backup battery power if he forgets to plug it in. Even if he has a smart TV or streaming stick, it may need updating. The Roku Ultra belongs in the main TV room because it plays movies and shows in 4K and HDR. The remote alone may be worth the upgrade. It has Bluetooth audio so he can listen through earbuds, can change channels by voice, and if he loses that remote somewhere, all he has to say is, "Hey Roku, find my remote." And it'll beep until he pulls it out of the couch. And perhaps my favorite desktop gadget, the Google Nest Hub, a smallish screen that'll play YouTube videos, live programming from YouTube TV and Hulu, music from a streaming service, and it will act as a personal assistant to put meetings and events on his calendar and set reminders. Now, seriously, all of these gadgets way cooler than a gift card, and Dad will think of you every time he uses them. That's What the Tech. I'm Jamie Tucker.
I noticed he didn't put the price tag attached to those. Some of those seem like they could be a wee bit expensive. I know Jamie's been on the expensive gift kick here in the last couple What the Techs we've seen. All right, let's move on to sports here. The Vaughn Taylor Championship has wrapped up, and we saw a record low. And the U.S. Championship, or excuse me, the U.S. Open is underway as well. Dan Booth has your sports.
Good morning, everyone. After 3 days of navigating the greens and the weather, the boys and girls champions of the 13th annual Vaughn Taylor Championship have been decided. At 12 years old, Augusta's Tyler Newsom is the youngest player in this year's field. He finished this tournament by sinking a long putt on the 9th green, ending at 11 over. On 7, after a solid approach shot put him in range of the cup, Nathan Martin wrapped up the hole with a 2-putt par. Martin finished 6 shots back of the lead at 1 over. The battle to decide the boys' champion came down to the final hole. On 18, Mateo Desmond was a man on a mission. He shot a 66 in the final round, helping him catapult into the lead at 5 under. 2 groups later, Duluth, Georgia's Sahish Reddy had the opportunity to force a playoff, but his putt just has a little bit too much on it. So Mateo Desmond wins his first AJGA event.
I've been confident throughout this whole time that I would win, but to have it reassured by a win in this event, and it's only my second AJGA appearance, so I'll be back for more, but it feels great.
On the girls' side, Lucy Yuan dominated the field all week long by finishing 8 shots clear of the rest of the field at 8 under. The San Diego native put her back-to-back second-place finishes in the rearview mirror, claiming the top spot.
I'm just really grateful for this opportunity and this experience. I came into this tournament not knowing anyone in the field, but I came out of this week making some new friends, and I'm happy about that. I'll probably see them in my future summer events.
Let's check in on the pros. The 123rd U.S. Open Championship is underway over in Los Angeles. Throughout the first 18, Ricky Fowler and Xander Schauffele are tied atop the lead with 8 under at the moment. Now, Wyndham Clark and DJ are 2 strokes back at 6 under, followed by Rory and Brian Harman, who are both sitting at 5 under. After the top 6, there are 7 players tied 5 strokes back, including 2022 Masters champ Scotty Scheffler and 23-year-old Sam Bennett, who you might remember put on a show at Augusta National this year. That's it for sports. Have a great day, everybody.
All right, thanks for that, Dan. And a little bit later here this morning on News 12 Now, we are going to be hearing from Vaughn Taylor. We're having him on at 11 o'clock this morning. He'll be joining myself and Dan. We'll talk his championship. We'll talk the PGA Live merger. We're going to hit on a whole lot of stuff talking golf, so be sure to stick around, come back for that. Okay. Finally, we'll wrap it up here with Will Volk. If you've ever been to Riverside Park, you may have spotted Betty's Branch. It's a tributary to the Savannah River and home to the annual Betty's Bash paddle race. Will picked up an oar and put his skills to the test.
Amy Colbert and her husband are getting ready to throw Betty's Bash, an event featuring kayak races and a free music festival.
We're really excited to be having an all-local showcase.
In the afternoon, local musicians and comedians will perform. But in the morning, it's all about the water. She says almost 50 people from across the Southeast are signed up to race.
People come in all different kinds of vessels, recreation kayaks, big, long 14-foot paddleboards. You see a lot of variety of racers.
They'll race the 6-mile-plus loop around German Island. Let's see if I have what it takes to race. I challenged Colbert's husband, who has decades of kayaking experience, to a drag race. And this should come as no surprise, it's no contest. Well, let's make it interesting. I took a massive head start, and just like the freeze at an Atlanta Braves game, Colbert tracked me down. As we come to the finish, I'm paddling so hard that I knock our camera into the river. Oops, I lost the race, but didn't lose the camera. He found it and celebrated his win.
I couldn't believe he was able to do that, but I am excited to see that kind of competition on Saturday.
That competition might be just a little faster. In a kayak, Will Volk, on your side.
Got to appreciate Will being a good sport about that, putting his best foot forward there, and not losing the camera. That's always good, too. The kayak races are timed, and there's a fee to enter. You can watch for free starting at 9 o'clock tomorrow. The music festival happens at 4:30. That is also free. Be sure to check out these stories and much more up on our website, WRDW.com. Also, again, if you haven't downloaded the streaming app, you can do so, WRDW on your Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, whatever your favorite streaming device may be. And then subscribe to our YouTube channel. I see a couple people watching right now. Hopefully you are subscribed. That'll get you up to date with everything going on in the CSRA and beyond. We're streaming on there every day. And again, we'll be live here at 11 o'clock talking to Vaughn Taylor about his championship and also about the recent events in the world of golf. So that's going to do it for right now. Morning Mix starts in about 3 minutes. You can head on over to the TV side. Natalia and Cliff, I believe, have it today. Zaina is off this morning. So they'll have all your lifestyle and pop culture news. And then we'll be back here at 11 o'clock. See you back here then.